Welcome to Meet the Press Now. I'm Kristen Welker, and we do begin with breaking news and new details about the alleged gunman in yesterday's deadly shooting at a Dallas ICE facility. Federal officials just gave an update on the investigation into the shooting, which left one ICE detainee dead and two others critically injured. They say the suspected gunman, Joshua Yan, appears to have planned the attack for months. The FBI calling the incident targeted violence, and the acting U.S. attorney for the Dallas area providing this detailed description of Yan's apparent motivations based on writings they found at his residence.
I want to point out that one of these notes or papers, the sniper explicitly states, yes, it was just me. That statement appears to be correct at this point in the investigation. Notably, these loose notes included a game plan of the attack and target areas at the facility. He called the ICE employees people showing up to collect a dirty paycheck. He wrote that he intended to maximize lethality against ICE personnel and to maximize property damage at the facility. He hoped his actions would terrorize ICE employees and interfere with their work, which he called human trafficking. And this, what he did, is the very definition of terrorism. His words were definitively anti-ICE. That said, we did not find evidence of membership in any specific group or entity, nor did he mention any specific government agency other than ICE. Among his papers, though, was a handwritten note in which, in crude words, he expressed his hatred for the federal government.
Now, ICE officials, meanwhile, warning that agents are facing a dramatic increase in threats to their own lives.
Violent rhetoric has led to over 1,000% increase in assaults on ICE officers, and it has to stop. In contrast to those who would demonize our men and women, yesterday our brave officers ran back into danger, along with ATF, our partners, to save the detainees while shots were still being fired. Those ICE officers just showed the world who they really are. Law enforcement officers who want the best for our country. Enough is enough with the harmful lies and violent rhetoric. It has to stop.
President Trump earlier condemning the attack while vowing to take further action against what he calls the, quote, radical left, even though you just heard authorities say the gunman had no known connection to any groups or entities. The president also announcing he will be signing an executive order to, quote, dismantle domestic terrorism networks, and today lashing out at Democrats from the Oval Office.
The radical left is causing this problem, not the right, the radical left. And it's going to get worse, and ultimately it's going to go back on them. I mean, bad things happen when they play these games. I'll give you a little clue. The right is a lot tougher than the left. But the right's not doing this. They're not doing it, and they better not get them energized, because it won't be good for the left. And I don't want to see that happen either. I'm the president of all the people. But the radical left is causing this. The radical left Democrats are causing this problem, and it gets worse. It gets worse. And it'll be a point where other people won't take it anymore, and that will not be good for the radical left, and we don't want that.
Joining me now is NBC News senior Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley. Julia, thank you so much for being here. We got a lot of new details today from officials in Dallas, Texas, and you heard there that list of written hand notes that really gave lawmakers an indication into motive and the fact that they say the shooter did act alone.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, this is going to be a moment following the Charlie Kirk shooting where it's very hard to piece apart, you know, the political rhetoric from the investigative details. But what we're finding is, yes, this is a person who acted alone. In conversations that NBC News has had with members of his family, they say that he didn't espouse political views extreme political views on one side or the other. They were shocked by this. But it does seem that it is something that he had planned for some time. This is a time of day at this facility where they would have been bringing in people who they had arrested in early morning raids. We've been out on those raids before. They bring them in here for processing, figure out exactly who they are, look for identification, fingerprint them. It's a time that's usually very active and busy at these facilities, and that's the time he chose. Though if he's anti-ICE, he didn't complete his mission because all of the ICE officers were fine, and the people who were hurt is the one deceased detainee and two others that we're told, Kristen, are still in critical condition.
It's just horrifying. And the authorities were asked today at that press conference for any new details about those detainees. They haven't really been able to provide any yet. Why is that? There's a process, they say, that's underway.
Yeah, and we've been pressing for those names because, of course, after any mass shooting, that's the first people you want to be talking about, not the perpetrator.
Yeah.
In this case, some of the complications, as we understand, these are three individuals from three different countries. And so they need to be out to the consulates. They need to find the kin of these people who are in those countries and make sure they're all informed before the media does, because you never want someone to find out that their family member died from a news report. You want that to be coming from the investigators. So we understand that is delaying the process, but we do expect to get those names perhaps in the coming hours or days.
Julia, it was extraordinary because you heard one of the officials there today say there has been a 1,000% increase on attacks against ICE officials. We know DHS Secretary Kristi Noem has called for more security at ICE facilities all across the country. What are law enforcement sources telling you about this moment we're in right now?
It's really depending on who you ask, and it's also two different types of security. So the 1,000% increase is a number we've been hearing since the summer, really since those California operations started, where you saw people, much more militarized operations, the big cars coming through with the Kevlar vest and the helmets and going out, and masked agents. And the assaults of ICE officers went up at that point. Democrats saying that the mask contributed to that because people didn't know who is arresting them. That's something California Governor Gavin Newsom have said. Then you also have the security at places like this. This was the second ICE facility in North Texas just in the past few months that came under attack. Kristi Noem, the Secretary of Homeland Security, said she wants to increase security at ICE facilities, but it's very difficult to figure out how you can increase security in these open places like a parking lot, a Sallyport, where you're bringing someone in, and when they go out, when they're so visible doing operations out in communities now, it's hard to see how they can make that foolproof.
All right, Julia Ainsley, a lot of new information that you're tracking today. Thank you so much for being here to help us break it all down. We really appreciate it. We do want to turn now to another developing story that we are tracking, the increasing likelihood of a government shutdown in the next few days. The White House now threatening mass firings of federal workers if the government shuts down, with funding set to lapse in less than a week and Congress deadlocked on a way forward. According to a memo obtained by NBC News, the White House's Office of Management and Budget is asking federal agencies to prepare for a, quote, reduction in force, indicating it's prepared to go beyond traditional furloughing of non-essential personnel during a shutdown and instead fire federal employees. Top Democrats in Congress slamming the threat. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer calling it an attempt at intimidation. And House Democratic Leader Jeffries called OMB Director Ross Vogt a, quote, malignant political hack. Speaking in the Oval Office today, the president blamed Democrats for a potential shutdown, calling their demands unreasonable. Democratic congressional leaders were supposed to meet with President Trump today, but he canceled that meeting. The message from the White House in lockstep with top Republican leaders on Capitol Hill.
The president draws his own conclusions, but what I would suggest, and I think the president came to the conclusion that it wouldn't be a productive meeting. The Democrats' requests are completely unhinged and unreasonable and unserious. And if they want to have a serious conversation, I think that, I'm sure the president would be welcome or would be happy to do that. But at least right now, what they're asking for to keep the government open for 7 weeks is over $1 trillion in new spending and all kinds of policy riders that never go on continuing resolutions.
Now, Democrats, meanwhile, are accusing the president of running away from negotiations. Here was House Minority Leader Jeffries earlier today.
Republicans have decided they don't want to even have a conversation with Democrats to reach a bipartisan agreement. If Donald Trump really believed that he had a strong position here, then why'd you back out of the meeting, bro? Why? I don't understand. Let's have this debate in front of the American people.
Now, notably, it was this exact scenario, firing employees and cuts to the federal workforce, that pushed Senator Schumer to vote with Republicans 6 months ago to advance a stopgap funding bill and avoid a shutdown, despite fierce blowback from some in his own party. At the time, Leader Schumer warned Democrats that the president would use a shutdown to amass more power over the government by firing workers. Now, Senate Minority Leader explaining why he believes circumstances have changed.
Three things are different. One, we've seen how bad, and the American people have seen how bad Trump's policies are. And second, they have shown that they're willing to go around the law if we don't stop them from that. And they've had these rescissions, they've had these impoundments, and they've just illegally, in certain ways, not funded the government, and that's even without a shutdown. And third, we Democrats are united now. We are totally united in saying we want to sit down, we want to negotiate. We're not going to get everything we want. They're not going to get everything they want. But to help deal with the chaos in health care caused by this big, so-called beautiful bill.
Joining me now is NBC News senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez, and also with me from Capitol Hill is NBC's Mel Zanona. Thanks to both of you for being here as we count down the minutes to a potential shutdown. Gabe, let me start with you. This threat from the federal government to fire workers if this shutdown does in fact happen. Who is most at risk, and how serious is the White House, Gabe?
Oh, the White House is very serious, Kristen. And before I get to that, I just want to point out that Senator Schumer, in that interview you just played, said that Democrats are united now, implying that they were not united before. And so the White House really is taking this fight to Democrats. And you played earlier today, President Trump using that language, blaming Democrats for this impending shutdown. And at this point, Kristen, it does appear that we're heading in that direction because there's no meeting in the books. And from my conversations with White House officials, unless the Democrats back off and they want more than $1 trillion in spending, according to Senator Thune, unless they back off on that in some way, President Trump does not plan to meet with them. So those jobs most at risk, you're right. Usually it's non-essential workers during government shutdowns that are affected. In this case, according to that memo, it is also workers that are involved, that programs that don't are not consistent with the president's priorities. Sorry, I was looking through my notes there, Kristen. But this opens up the possibility that many of these programs might be gutted, not just for the length of the shutdown, but permanently.
Well, Mel, let me head over to you on Capitol Hill, because as Gabe is pointing out, look, this was really the crux of Leader Schumer's argument the last time he had a fight over government spending. I'm not going to shut down the government because it will be a green light to President Trump, to Elon Musk at the time, to basically fire a bunch of federal workers. And now President Trump is basically saying, yep, that's exactly what he's going to do. From your vantage point, based on your conversation with sources, do you think Leader Schumer is going to back down, Mel?
I can tell you that at least among Republicans, there is a growing belief that Democrats and Schumer are ultimately going to cave, especially after this new threat of mass layoffs for the federal workforce in the event of a shutdown. But so far, Democrats are not backing down. And in fact, they're digging in even harder. Multiple congressional Democrats came out today, including the leadership, and slammed this memo from the budget director as a, quote, intimidation tactic designed to bully them into folding. And they insisted they would not do that. They would continue to stand up and that this wasn't going to change their calculation. But no doubt, this new memo certainly raises the stakes dramatically ahead of the shutdown next week. The federal workforce was already reeling. They were decimated and demoralized from those DOGE cuts. So A shutdown without paychecks on top of additional layoffs would be a disaster. And as you mentioned, Schumer's reasoning for helping Republicans keep the government open earlier this year was that Trump and the OMB director were going to make a shutdown as politically painful as possible. But at least as of now, Democrats are pretty confident that Republicans will be to blame for that political pain.
Yeah, and we know that Democrats are basically viewing this as a way to dig in on something they've long talked about, these subsidies for Obamacare, but also their base saying this is a way to stand up to President Trump. Gabe, you have reports.
Pages to you. The Republicans believe they are in a stronger position and that they have the leverage over the Democrats here. Even though they need Democrats to pass the CR, they really do think that they have the upper hand here and that the American people will blame Democrats for this shutdown if it happens. And that's why you hear all-out messaging from White House officials. We heard Caroline Leavitt earlier this week in a press briefing and conversations with White House officials today. They keep hitting that point that they plan to go all out and blame Democrats for any potential shutdown, Kristen.
Mel, we're just over 5 days away. Do you see any off-ramp at this point, based on your reporting, based on your conversations there on the Hill?
So things do tend to come together pretty quickly or at the last minute when Congress wants to. We've seen in past shutdown threats that they right up until the last minute were threatening shutdowns and then came together literally in the 11th, sometimes 12th hour. But in this case, there is no obvious off-ramp. The two sides are not talking. The only meeting that was scheduled between Trump and Democrats was canceled with not another meeting on the books. And the House is not even scheduled to be back in D.C. until after the government funding deadline passes, essentially conceding that there is going to be a shutdown of some length unless something changes. So they are in a very high stakes game of chicken right now. Someone's going to have to blink or else there is going to be a government shutdown next week.
All right. Well, we watch and wait to see every twist and turn and hold our breath as we wait to see how this all ends. Gabe and Mel, thank you so much for your great reporting. We really appreciate it. Coming up, the fate of TikTok as President Trump is expected to sign an executive order today aimed at facilitating a key deal that could save the massively popular social media platform from being banned in the U.S. Plus, the potential fallout as the Justice Department considers charging former FBI Director James Comey for allegedly lying to Congress in what would be the latest crackdown against the president's critics. Stay with us. You're watching Meet the Press Now. Welcome back. We want to turn now to the possibility of an indictment against former FBI Director James Comey. After a months-long investigation, a senior justice official confirms to NBC News that career federal prosecutors in the Eastern District of Virginia have urged the Justice Department not to seek charges against Comey. That comes after two Justice Department officials and a person familiar with the matter said the DOJ is still weighing whether to seek charges. Those career prosecutors sent a memo to the district's new interim U.S. attorney documenting why they believe probable cause just does not exist to secure an indictment. Officials say Comey could be charged with lying to Congress for his testimony in September of 2020 when he told Senator Ted Cruz that he stood by testimony from 2017 denying he authorized a leak of information. The DOJ would need to charge Comey by early next week when the 5-year statute of limitations is set to expire. All of this comes as President Trump ratchets up public pressure on Attorney General Pam Bondi to prosecute Comey and other political opponents. Joining me now is Mimi Rocha, a former assistant U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York, who served under Comey when he was the U.S. attorney. She's also the former district attorney for Westchester County in New York. Mimi, stand by for one moment. First, we're going to go to the White House. We believe President Trump's going to have an announcement on TikTok. Stay with us for just a moment. Let's go to the White House.
Well, thank you very much. We've had some very, really good talks today on Gaza with both the Middle East representatives and kings and all of the top leaders in the Middle East. And we had also a very good conversation with Bibi Netanyahu, trying to get the hostages back, and we're trying to get the end of the Gaza situation. It's really bad, very bad. And we think it could happen. Maybe it could happen pretty soon. We want the hostages back. We want the bodies back. And we want to have peace in that region. So we had some very good talks. As you know, I had President Erdogan here, Turkey, and we had a great meeting today. I think we had a meeting that was very conclusive in so many different things that we wanted, things that he wanted, and that was good. We'll be announcing that sometime later, and he'll be making an announcement too. But we had a great meeting with Turkey and their very respected president, and spent time. We had lunch, and we had a lot of good discussions. So those two things, and we have some executive orders today to sign that are very important for the country. And we'll start off with one that's a proclamation. And yes, want to do that, Will?
Yes, sir. So today is Gold Star Mothers and Families Day. This is an annual proclamation. This is to commemorate the fallen, those who have died for all of our freedoms and for our country, and for their families who have suffered such grievous losses. But this is a proclamation commemorating Gold Star Mothers and Gold Star families.
Yeah, and they're great people. Incredible people, what they've had to go through. Very few people could have gone through this kind of thing. Gold Star. Okay, thank you very much. I'll put it over here, Steve.
Next, sir, we have an executive order on TikTok. From the first days of your administration, you've charged a team from your administration, led by Vice President Vance, with ensuring that we can preserve TikTok as a platform for the 170 million Americans who use it, while ensuring that their data is properly protected as required by law. With this executive order, you will be effectively bringing into effect the agreement that will save TikTok and ensure that it can operate safely and securely.
So this is interesting because I had a very good talk with President Xi, a lot of respect for him. Hopefully he has a lot of respect for me too. And we talked about TikTok and other things, but we talked about TikTok, and he gave us the go-ahead. You know, it's run by American investors and American companies, great ones, great investors, the biggest. You don't get bigger, I don't imagine. And maybe I'll have JD. JD was very much involved and in charge of it. And maybe I'll have you say a few words about the deal. He would report back, and the points of the deal, I think, are great for our country. So, JD, do you want to give it a little talk, please?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So thank you, sir, for your leadership and for your help. We really couldn't have done this without the president actually ushering this deal over the finish line. There was some resistance on the Chinese side, but the fundamental thing that we wanted to accomplish is that we wanted to keep TikTok operating, but we also wanted to make sure that we protected Americans' data privacy as required by law, both because it's the right thing to do, but also because it's a legal requirement of the law that was passed last year by Congress. So we think that we were able to do that. Of course, we're going to keep on working at it, but this deal really does mean that Americans can use TikTok, but actually use it with more confidence than they had in the past, because their data is going to be secure and it's not going to be used as a propaganda weapon against our fellow citizens. We're very excited about it. We appreciate the cooperation of everybody involved, and it's a big day.
And I think I can say that especially the young people, they really wanted this to happen. They did not want to have TikTok close. And I got, a little used to TikTok. I used it myself during the campaign, and it was very successful because you know how I did with the young voter. And Charlie helped me a lot too. And he said to me, you should go on TikTok. And it actually had, because we got record votes with the young voter, as you know, for the election. So I was a little bit prejudiced in that way toward TikTok. It was very good and very meaningful. But we have American investors taking it over, running it, highly sophisticated, including Larry Ellison. And Oracle, I guess, is going to play a very big role in terms of security, safety, and everything else. So we have very good controls. And literally, I would get a call from friends of mine who were fathers of young people saying, could you do me a favor? Could you get it approved, please? My son is driving me crazy. So we're getting it done, and they have a big audience, and we have great American investors. And here's your final copy. TikTok. Maybe if you want, we could take a couple of questions on TikTok, and then we're going to get onto something completely different, okay? Yeah.
Mr. President,
Jeff?
Mr. Vice President, you mentioned that China was resistant. Can you describe where China is now? Are they fully on board with this?
They're on board, yeah. I spoke with President Xi. We had a good talk. I told him what we were doing, and he said, go ahead with it.
On the algorithm, it's still being leased coming from China. Are you satisfied that there's no security concerns for the
Yeah,
U.S.?
I am. I really am.
That it would push disruptive
The
content?
biggest reason is that it's owned by Americans, and very sophisticated Americans, and people that love the country, and very smart Americans too. So they don't want anything like that to happen. Yes, please.
Thank you. Is there any operational relationship with Chinese entities or staff to execute the deal?
With who?
With the Chinese?
I don't think so. Not that I know. No, this is going to be American operated all the way. And great respect for President Xi, and I very much appreciate that he approved the deal, because to get it done properly, we really needed the support of China and the approval of China. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. President, now that Americans will have operational control, do you want to see the algorithm suggest more MAGA-related content prioritized?
I always like MAGA-related. If I could, I'd make it 100% MAGA-related. It's actually a good question, but I would, yeah, if I could make it 100% MAGA, I would, but it's not going to work out that way, unfortunately. No, everyone's going to be treated fairly. Every group, every philosophy, every policy will be treated very fairly. Thank you.
Mr. President, do you know the valuation? Do you know the American company is going to be valued in the billions?
Well, they valued it very highly. They're paying a big number. Do you want to talk, Scott? Do you want to say something about value?
Well, I'll let the Vice President, and then I can follow up.
And you'll say something.
Sure. Well, first of all, I would say all credit goes to the Secretary of the Treasury. Couldn't have got it done without Scott. Also couldn't have got it done without Sean Cooksey on my team, so thanks to them. The company will be valued around $14 billion. We actually think this is a good deal for investors, but ultimately the investors are going to make the determination about what they want to invest in and what they think is a proper value. The most important thing is that it does protect Americans' data security. It ensures TikTok is still accessible. And on this question of the algorithm, which we've heard this a lot, what this deal ensures is that the American entity and the American investors will actually control the algorithm. We don't want this used as a propaganda tool by any foreign government. We want to make sure that our people and our investors actually make these decisions based on what's good for their business as opposed to what's good for another government's propaganda arm. So that's what we've done with this deal. I think it's very good for the American people. And as the president said, young people love this. We actually want everybody to access this, whether they're MAGA or not. We just want it to be fair. We want it to be fair to everybody, and we think that's what's going to happen with this new arrangement.
Well, the U.S. government...
And just to follow up on the Vice President, there were two pieces to the transaction. The Vice President's office has worked since the spring for the commercial transaction between the investor groups, and then Treasury and a group including the Vice President's office were in Madrid 2 weeks ago to negotiate with the Chinese, and it was a result of President Trump's close relationship with Party Chair Xi that we were able to get this across the line. We created a framework for Party Chair Xi to agree, and then on the leaders' call, Xi and President Trump discussed the final arrangement. So it was 1-2, and that was the final piece.
Will the U.S. government get any kind of annual payment as a result of this deal?
Taxes. It's going to make money, and we're going to get a lot of money in taxes. And you know, China wanted to see this go. This is a great legacy for China, too. I thought President Xi was great in terms of his approval. We probably could have done it a different way, but it wouldn't have been the same. It wouldn't have been the same security at all, but I appreciated that he approved it.
So nothing aside from taxes, there's no part of the deal that is like a payment to the U.S. government?
Well, we're going to be announcing different things, but the U.S. comes out great. And I think China comes out great because they're going to have a very important legacy. And they have many other deals. You know, they have deals with us, and they have deals in here in this country. And, you know, they want to be treated fairly also.
So, Mr. President, and Mr. Vice President, the U.S. company could change the algorithm to push different content? Is that...
The U.S. company will have control over how the algorithm pushes content to users, and that was a very important part of it. We thought it was necessary for the national security element of the law. We also just think it's important to protect American users. Again, we want users to use this platform the way they want to. We want the business to make decisions about content based on the interests of the business and based on the interests of the users, and that's what we think will happen with this new arrangement.
And they're paying a lot of money, and I think hopefully it's going to be a great deal. They're very sophisticated people. You'll see a list. Have you seen a list yet of the people? Well, you've been reading about it, though. I know Michael Dell's involved, Rupert Murdoch's involved, and a lot of, and let's see, we have probably 4 or 5 absolutely world-class investors that love the country, and they made a lot of money with the country, and many of them are in a somewhat related business, so it works out pretty well. And they're going to be very careful about all of these questions that you've been asking.
Who else beyond Dell and Murdoch?
Well, it's a blue chip group of investors, and we'll be announcing more about who exactly is involved in the deal in the days to come.
Oracle's playing a very big part.
That's right, sir.
And Oracle really understands this. And I think they're actually, and they've been involved for quite a while running it for the people, the previous people. And so it's really, I think it's going to be very well protected. Very, very prestigious deal, actually.
On that point, Mr. President, as the President said, Oracle has actually had a role in housing the data for a long time, even when the entity was controlled by the ByteDance organization in China. So Oracle had a pretty interesting perspective on what was necessary to actually create true data privacy protections for Americans. They were a very important part of getting this thing done.
Mr. President, you told us a couple of weeks ago you thought that the security concerns were overrated, but were there legitimate concerns when it comes to safety?
From my standpoint, no, because the people that own it are, they're not China-centric, they're USA-centric, and they're very smart people. I guess you could say it about everything. Everything is what's secure nowadays. Things that you think are totally secure turn out to not to be. But I think in this case, it's going to be as secure as you can be because of the ownership and the people. And they have a big investment. It's to their advantage to make sure it's good and safe. Yeah. Anybody else? Do you have a question? No, behind you.
Well, I just want to say, do you think this move and getting this deal done, Mr. President, do you think this honors the legacy like Charlie Kirk? You mentioned that he specifically pushed you to get involved with TikTok in your campaign, helped you win young voters. Do you think this deal honors him in a way?
Well, I think it's a good thing. It's a good sign. We're doing very well, as you know, with the trade deals. We're doing very well with China, and a lot of them. We were never treated properly. We were for 4 years, actually. But we were never treated very properly by other countries. And we're doing well. We've never done this well. We have, because of the tariffs that are coming in, the deals that are being made, $950 billion in one case. $950 billion, where previously they paid nothing. We have, as you know, in Japan, it's $550 billion. South Korea is $350 billion. That's up front. And one of the things I can say, I announced it lightly before, but we're taking in tremendous amounts of money with tariffs. We've never seen anything like it. No country's ever seen anything like it. I'm going to devote a little bit of that money, a little bit of the tariff money to our farmers. Our farmers have been incredible. They're the ones that let us survive and eat and enjoy our lives, right? Eat too much, maybe in some cases, like mine. But I will tell you, we're going to take some of the tariff money, relatively small amount, but a lot for the farmers. And we're going to help the farmers out a little bit because during this transition period, a period where we're taking in incredible amounts of money, we'll have a little bit of a shortfall with the farmers until the tariffs kick in, because they haven't kicked in for the farmers yet. And I decided before, and I spoke to all of the people here, that I want to make a contribution out of the tariff money, a small percentage of it, but it's a lot for the farmers. It'll make the farmers feel very good, just help them through the transition. And ultimately, they're going to be making a fortune. They will be one of the top in the whole world in terms of a percentage gotten from the tariffs we're taking in. But we have so much coming in, it's a very small thing. But I want to, in fact, just get the word out to the farmer, because they'll be struggling until the transition is complete. Then after that, they're going to do, I think, better than they've ever done before. Last time I said, get yourself a larger tractor and more land. And that was when they were doing very poorly. And they ended up doing that, and they did very well. That was with the deal we made with China. Unfortunately, Biden forgot about the deal, and he never enforced. I enforced it till the end, and China was very honorable. But when Biden came in, he didn't enforce it. So when you don't enforce a deal, they don't do it. So it was terrible. Biden was very bad to the farmers of our country. So we're going to be doing that. It's an honor to do it, too. Brian, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just going to say, what's your message to the millions of small businesses here in the U.S. that really rely on TikTok to reach their end user and to market their service and their products?
Well, thank you for that question, because honestly, we were getting hit up. They use it for virtual advertising, and they pay very little for it and nothing for it. And small businesses have become very successful because of TikTok. And we didn't think of that, when everyone's saying, oh, TikTok and this and that. But over the last 6 months, I was called by so many people saying they're going to go out of business if they can't, because they use it virtually as a advertising tool. And without it, they wouldn't have anything. They wouldn't be able to get the word out about their good product or whatever it is they're selling. So it's a very important thing for small business. It's another reason I wanted to do the deal so badly. So let's go to another subject now, if we might, okay? And Will,
Mr. President, can I
please.
ask you about farmers, about the farmers?
Yes, go ahead.
What does that look like? Is that going to be direct checks to farmers, or is it going to be
Well, we haven't
taxes?
decided that. We'll be dealing with Brooke later, and the Secretary of Agriculture, and we'll figure out how to get money to the farmers. And again, this comes out of the large amount, hundreds of billions of dollars of tariff money that's pouring into the country. The tariffs, remember when I said a long time ago, I said it's the greatest word, it's my favorite word in the world. Then I had to say, I was forced to say other things, and of course, rightfully so. Love, family, religion. So I think I put tariff number 5. I was forced because the fake news did a big number on me. It's one of those little, but let's say it's my 5th favorite word, the word tariff. But it's making our country very rich. And when our country is rich, I'm able to help the farmers, and I'm able to help even other countries that are in trouble, But we're able to help people that are in trouble. Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security. It's all a benefit of this tremendous amount. And I heard numbers coming in today, Scott, where the numbers were very high, right?
The economic numbers were off the charts, sir.
Unfortunately, right? Because this is the only country in the world where you announce great numbers and the stock market goes down. Because when you announce great numbers, they immediately want to take that success away by raising the interest rates. Why can't you announce great numbers and let them lower the interest rate so you can make numbers? This is the only country in the world. I don't know if you heard. Could you just tell them what the number was? And how
It was 3.88% growth, the biggest in years. And the important thing is the president says this is going to be non-inflationary growth, just like it was in his first term. So strong growth, low inflation, real wage gains. And to the question on small business optimism under President Trump last week hit a multi-year high. So small businesses, Main Street is back under President Trump.
But isn't it crazy? So I saw the market was down a little bit today. I mean, in all fairness, I don't feel guilty because we've set every record you can imagine. But it was down, and I say, oh, the numbers must be good. Meaning the growth numbers are phenomenal. And again, this is during, but a little bit of the heavy, the really success and the money pouring into our country through the tariffs. And I just say, why can't we have great numbers and lower the interest rates so we have even greater numbers? So people were saying, oh, the numbers are so good, they're going to have to raise interest rates. That doesn't have to happen. And there's no inflation. We have the only thing we have is great success. We're having unbelievable success. So the numbers are much higher than anticipated, except for by me and Scott and some of the other people. And they'll get a lot higher than that, too. But I don't want to, every time we have good numbers, say, let's take all the juice out by raising interest rates. It's so backwards. It's so backwards.
Mr. President, they don't appreciate the importance of the third leg of your stool, because trade, taxes, and deregulation allows for significant upside growth without inflation. So eventually the people at the Fed will be able to focus on this like Alan Greenspan did in the 90s. You can have strong growth and low inflation, and I think we can get the stock market up, Wall Street, Main Street, both doing well.
And we want low interest rates. There's no reason that every time we announce these record numbers, these numbers are way above projections by, all the great geniuses out there. And I knew this was going to happen. So they had 71 different people, and only 2 got it right. Me and another gentleman from, I think, my wonderful Wharton School of Finance, actually. So anyway, but I really want you to look at that. Every time we have good numbers, they say this is a good time because they're guarding against inflation that may happen in 2 years from now. We have to change. We have to change our thinking. We should be rewarded for good numbers, not penalized.
So, Mr. President, is that 3.8? Is that the start of a 3% growth for the
Well,
entire year?
you know, the number was projected at 2, because we're in a little bit of a transition period, but that transition period's ending faster than we thought on tariffs. The money coming in is much greater than people thought, and there's no inflation. Essentially, there's no inflation. We just went through the worst inflation in the history of our country under Sleepy Joe Biden. He was sleeping, and the inflation was really bad, worst ever. They say 48 years, I'll take that too, but I think it was probably the worst inflation we ever had because of spending and energy going through the roof and everything else. By the way, energy's way down, and you're going to really be impressed when you hear what happened today with President Erdogan of Turkey. I think it's great for both countries. I think it's great. We have great relationships with a lot of countries. And you may be even more happy when you find out, because we spoke with Bibi Netanyahu today, and we spoke to all the leaders in the Middle East, who are great people, and we're getting pretty close to having a deal on Gaza, and maybe even peace, which would be the first time in about, 2,000 years, I think? In the region, I'd say the first in... Steve, what would you say? First in 2,000 years, or maybe 1,000?
Huh? 2 millennium.
It's a long time. Yeah, go ahead.
Did Erdogan agree to stop buying Russian oil? Did he?
I don't want to say that, but if I want him to, he will. Yeah.
But he didn't give that assurance.
Well, I didn't say okay, you stop, but I believe you. I believe he will stop it. Yeah.
Did you make a deal?
You know why? Because he can buy from a lot of other people. He can buy from a lot of other people. You know who really can't is Hungary. Hungary's got, they're landlocked, and they don't have a nice ocean where ships can sail in from all over the world. They have one pipeline coming, because I spoke with, he's a great guy, he's a great friend of mine, but, that's a harder one for them. And Slovakia, too. They're sort of married to one pipeline. So I just don't want to have people go blaming them when, we spoke to them at length today, and it seems like that, for them it's a little, but that's not. Turkey has a lot of options. He's a great president, a very smart man, and he's going to take. He's going to do what's right. But we had a very good conversation having to do with the purchase of military equipment, etc. Any other questions?
Did you make a deal on F-35s, Mr. President?
I will be able to easily if I want. So we may do that. Yeah.
But not yet.
Well, it depends. He's going to do something for us. Yeah, please.
Is the U.S. going to lift sanctions on Turkey?
Can I ask you, we're a few days away.
By the way, here we go with this guy. Go ahead, let's go. Let's hear the question.
We're a few days away from the end of the fiscal year and a potential shutdown.
Right.
Is there going to be a government shutdown?
Could be, yeah, because the Democrats are crazed. They don't know what they're doing. They want to have the border opened up so that criminals can pour in. We're doing unbelievable borders closed, and people are coming into our country legally. They continue to want to have men and women sports. They continue to want to have transgender for everyone. They want to raise everybody's taxes at a number that's not sustainable. It's the only time in the world I've ever seen a party that wants to raise taxes. I grew up in a family where I'd watch politics, and I always liked it from the time I was very young, but I'd always see politicians say, we will lower your taxes. These guys, they campaign on raising your taxes, but they want to raise taxes very substantially.
The one thing they're concerned about, look, Republicans have total control of Washington. You guys have control of the House, the Senate, there's you.
Well, when you say control, so we need 60 votes for this, and we have 53 Republicans, so we need 7 Democrats.
And those 7 Democrats and others are asking for an extension of a tax credit on people who get the Affordable Care Act and some other government-backed health care. So are you willing to negotiate on
Well, what
that
they're
issue?
really asking for is they want to pay for illegal aliens that have come into our country by the millions and get onto the rolls, and they want to pay. And our people don't want to do that. Our people are taxed enough. We just approved the largest tax decrease ever in the history of our country, including the extension of the previous Trump tax cuts. the tax cuts that we just approved, they want to use those tax cuts to give the money to illegal aliens, people that came into our country illegally and that are leaving the country. You know, there's been a self-deportation because of what we've been doing that's been incredible. Okay, yeah, please.
Secretary Hegseth is inviting military leaders from all around the country on Tuesday. Will you also be there?
From all around the country to what?
To Virginia. He's inviting the generals and admirals to Virginia for a big meeting.
Well, I know. I love it. I mean, I think it's great. Let them be friendly. Let them be friendly with the generals and admirals from all over the world. Why is there something? No, but is there something wrong with it?
And what is it about? Will you be there personally as well? And what is it about?
Well, I'll be there if they want me, but why is that such a big deal? I mean, the fact that we're getting along with the generals and admirals from all. Remember, I'm the president of peace. It's good to get along. It's good. You act like this is a bad thing. Isn't it nice that people are coming from all over the world to be with us?
It's not particularly unusual that generals who report to the Secretary of War and then to the President of the United States are coming to speak with the Secretary of War. It's actually not unusual at all, and I think it's odd that you guys have made it into such a big story.
Is it a big story? I mean,
I don't think it is, sir.
I would think it's no, but isn't it a good story? I mean, you know, we're respected from all over the world as a military force. You know, I rebuilt the military during my first term, even though we gave a chunk of it away to Afghanistan. But we're talking Afghanistan too, by the way, about Bagram and about that. But that's a very small amount compared to what we rebuilt it by. But I rebuilt the military, and we're very respected. We have the strongest military anywhere in the world without question. We have the greatest equipment in the world. We're selling the equipment to other countries. And a lot of generals want to be here and they want to look at they're also going to be touring equipment sites. They're going to be talking about the newest weapons, et cetera, et cetera. But I think it's great when generals and top people want to come to the United States to be with our now called Secretary of War. Does everybody like the name? I do.
Yeah, you said something really interesting this week about Ukraine, that you thought Ukraine could get back all the territory that Russia had taken.
Yeah, they have a shot at it because Russia.
What prompted you to change your thoughts on that?
Well, because I've been watching the way what Russia's been doing. I'm very dissatisfied with what Russia's doing and what President Putin is doing. I haven't liked it at all. He's killing people for no reason whatsoever. And they are doing very poorly, considering they have put it all out on the line. Their economy is going to hell. They're bombing the hell out of everything, and they're picking up very little territory, if any. In fact, they're losing some territory. So I think it's been very bad for the reputation of Russia. This war should have been over. If this were our war, we would have had it over in 1 week. And they're getting into fourth year, Jeff. They're getting into the fourth year now. 4 years of fighting, and you see what they've taken. In the last month, they've taken very little.
And you've been listening to President Trump taking questions in the Oval Office on a range of different topics. His video is frozen, but it looks like it may be pixelating and potentially coming back. President Trump announcing that he's signing an executive order that will keep TikTok in existence, selling it from its Chinese-owned company ByteDance. It will now be owned by a range of American investors, including Larry Ellison of Oracle, Michael Bell, Rupert Murdoch. He says the algorithm, will be controlled by the U.S. That's according to the vice president. This, of course, significant because Congress passed legislation effectively saying that TikTok has to shut down or be sold from its Chinese-owned company. President Trump has issued a series of extensions to get to this point. He also said he believes he's close to getting a deal on the Middle East. He said he's going to give farmers some money from the tariffs. And he just said again that he is very disappointed in the aggression that he is seeing by Russian President Vladimir Putin in the wake of what he had hoped would be the start of some type of peace talks between Russia and Ukraine. That obviously has not happened. Let me go back to the White House and Gabe Gutierrez. Also with me is NBC News Now anchor Savannah Sellers, our resident TikTok expert. Gabe, let me go first to you. What did I miss there? What were your key takeaways from what we heard?
That was a great summary, Kristen. And yes, the president covering a lot of ground there. Another thing that I should mention, according to the vice president, TikTok U.S. would now be valued at $14 billion. And you mentioned this consortium. President Trump had floated those names before, Michael Dell and Rupert Murdoch, this time saying that, in fact, yes, this consortium will include those investors. We still don't have the details of all the investors, but you mentioned Oracle and Larry Ellison as well. One other quick point that I want to make, Kristen, the president alluding to small business owners there. You know as well as anyone, the president used to want to ban TikTok. He changed his views on that during the presidential election when he saw that he could use it to get his message out to young voters. But he says over the last 6 months, he's also been lobbied by small businesses who rely on TikTok for advertising. I thought that was an interesting window on President Trump's evolution when it comes to TikTok, Kristen.
It certainly is, and that tees us up very nicely to go to Savannah Sellers. Savannah, there have been so many twists and turns. You have covered every single development. How significant is it? President Trump announcing that this U.S. consortium will now own TikTok.
Yeah, and Kristen, you know what I really heard there is it's not over yet, which is interesting as we continue to cover this. It's notable because it means that the president has, at least in his part of this, sort of tried to satisfy the law, and that really is what happened today, is that he essentially said, I bless this, as the wonky language for it is a qualified divestiture. He basically, by signing that executive order, says, according to me, this satisfies the law. I want to echo what Gabe said, though. I actually thought there was a lot we didn't learn, like more information about who all of the investors are. I was really hoping to get some information on who those 6 American board seats are going to go to, but we still don't have that information. But to echo what Gabe said about getting kind of like a window into how the president thought about this, Gabe smartly pointed out Trump was actually the first one back in 2020 to really seriously consider banning TikTok. He even had his then Treasury Secretary working on a deal, including the likes of Walmart. I mean, it got quite far. And then he completely flipped to wanting to save this. I thought it was interesting, his own words there. I became prejudiced towards this app, citing the fact that he himself used it and liked it so much during the election, really, as we've heard him say before, pinning his win in some ways on being able to use this app and have it be a way to directly communicate with young people. Also, TikTok, by the way, Gabe called out that he said that so many small businesses have been calling him saying, I will be out of business. That right there is a success by TikTok as a company. Every time that I was down in D.C. on Capitol Hill covering this, the number of creators that they had, the number of small business owners that they had there physically to try to lobby lawmakers to say exactly that. I mean, that tells me that that message was successful and was loud and clear. But we do have a lot of questions still here, Kristen.
Absolutely. And you're absolutely right, Savannah, to highlight the fact that he put so much emphasis on what this means to younger people, younger voters. He even talked about the fact that the late Charlie Kirk was someone who had urged him to go on TikTok and try to really understand its impact. Gabe and Savannah, thank you so much for that. I do now want to go to New York Republican Congressman Mike Lawler, who has been patiently standing by and listening to the president with us. Congressman, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Let me just start off, before we get to this looming potential government shutdown, of getting your reaction to this news on TikTok. Are you satisfied, as the vice president says, it will be owned by this U.S. consortium and it will also protect data security? Are you satisfied that it will do that, in fact?
Well, look, I was a big proponent of the legislation that we passed in Congress to force the divestment, force the sale by ByteDance to either a U.S. Or a company, in another country. But the announcement today by the president, obviously, we'll await further details that we can really drill down on. But I think based on the announcement that the president has put forth, it certainly, would satisfy, I think, the intent of the legislation by Congress to force ByteDance to divest from TikTok. And having this U.S.-led consortium in control of the algorithm is critical for national security. ByteDance and the CCP were using this algorithm for nefarious purposes. That is obviously a widely held view in Capitol Hill and by members of both parties. So I think the objective here was to get ByteDance to divest. The fact that the president and his team were able to negotiate this with President Xi, with China, to get it done certainly meets the intent of what Congress wanted with that legislation.
All right, Congressman, let me turn to the shutdown. You just heard President Trump talk about that as well. And one of the big questions, he did cancel this meeting with Democratic leaders. You heard him there acknowledge, look, we need Democrats in order to get this done. Should he be meeting with Democrats with just 5 days to go until the government shuts down?
Well, look, I've been encouraging Leader Jeffries to meet with the president for months. I think they should have been asking to meet with the president long ago, not 5 days before a shutdown. The fact is that we passed a clean CR through the House last week. And Democrats, from Chuck Schumer to Hakeem Jeffries to Nancy Pelosi, said ad nauseum under the Biden administration that we need to keep the government open, that we need to pass clean, continuing resolutions. That is what we have done. And so there's no reason for them to oppose that. They should pass the clean CR in the Senate. Chuck Schumer, 7 Democrats should join the 53 Republicans in keeping the government open so that we can finish our appropriations work. The real negotiation is for the final appropriations package. This is a clean CR to keep the government funded and open. All of these issues that they want to discuss are part of a final negotiation, and that's what the focus should be on.
Congressman, we have less than a minute left. Again, just to reiterate, it was President Trump who canceled this meeting. But I have to get your reaction that OMB clearing a path to fire federal workers if the government shuts down. Do you believe that's the right recourse, to basically use these federal workers as pawns with the final about 30 seconds we have left here, Congressman?
Look, the challenge with the government shutdown is that any time it happens, the executive has to identify essential and non-essential. We can avoid all of that very simply.
But you know this
we
goes
can avoid
beyond
it
that.
simply by passing a clean CR and keeping the government open. I don't support permanent firing here. I think there's a very simple way, Kristen, to avoid all of that discussion, and it's to pass the clean CR that is sitting in the Senate right now.
All right, Congressman Mike Lawler, I'm going to have you back so we can have a longer conversation. Thank you for your patience.
Look forward to it.
And for
Thank you.
standing by with us today. Thank you so much. It's always great to have your perspective. We are back tomorrow with more Meet the Press Now. There's more ahead on NBC News Now.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.